Hello and welcome to a House of Rugby special. I'm in the pub this week with Shawnee and we're going to do a little Six Nations debrief. We will get into the team of the tournament a bit later, but for now it's about congratulating the French on their Grand Slam. Here are some of the scenes from Paris over the weekend in case people missed it, of the celebrations after their Grand Slam. As you can see, first up here is the Viking clap, which is pretty impressive.
Too fast to start with, though.
Yeah, I do like a real slow build-up, really get them into it, but still the noise is deafening there. Free from desire here. There's no Will Grigg, but maybe Villiers maybe is the man for that.
Yeah.
Villiers is on fire. Your offence is terrified. He's also a great player as well.
These are
helps.
These are the places you want to be after games like this.
Is it? See, for me, it's in the change room. The close crew. I know this is amazing, don't get me wrong, but it's the close crew.
The fans and the atmosphere and stuff, though, is still class. In the change room, then you really get going at it.
Now, this does look strange, but this is Damien Penaud coming out of the showers. He's obviously got in the shower in his full suit and bubble bath, and then this is the French at their best.
The scenes.
You ever seen anything like this?
Someone hanging from a scaffolding.
Yeah, with the flare.
With the flare. Yeah, they really do row in behind them. But I'd say it was a crazy night out in France, to be fair.
That is class to see. Fair play to them. They haven't won a Grand Slam for a long time, and it seems like the public are so behind them, and the players have loved it as well.
I'd say they're still hoarse from smoking all the fags, probably.
Oh, I wonder how many boxes of cigarettes were in the change room. Like usually it's cans of beer.
Red wine and cigarettes.
Red wine, cigarettes. They'll still be tabbing now.
I'd say they're still on the beer, yeah.
They will not be playing for their clubs this week, and if they are, I would not expect a great performance.
No, they'll be suffering this week, no doubt.
In terms of just the Six Nations as a spectacle, it's the first time in 2-3 years now I think we've had full crowds. You know, the intensity, the atmosphere, how good was it? Because I loved every minute. For you, how great was it?
Yeah, no, I think it's been a brilliant tournament. I think there's been some class rugby, some class games in it. Seeing the fans back, seeing everyone enjoying themselves, seeing what it's all about again, experiencing some of the match days, even like last weekend. It's a phenomenal competition.
Great tournament. Best tournament in the world. Right, Shawnee, let's get into our Six Nations team of the tournament. So, Shawnee, front row first. Who have you picked and why?
So we've gone for Cyril Boy at loose head, Jamie George at hooker, and Tyg Furlong at tight head. Why? With Boy, I just think he's been solid the whole championship. Ball handling skills were incredible. Sick offloads for important scores.
Sick offloads.
Right. Scrummaging and set piece has been solid as a rock, and he's a young prop who has been playing incredibly well. Gone with Jamie George at hooker. He wasn't even in the squad at the start of this campaign in the Six Nations, and to come in and do the job he's done, gave it a lot of emotional energy. I think was one of the main players in England's fight and determination in some of the games, even though they're not firing on all cylinders. He was excellent. And then Tyg Furlong, just Mr. Consistency. The scrum didn't have a good day against England. A lot of illegal stuff going on there, but in general, very, very good. Again, he's probably the best prop in the world at the minute, a tight head. I don't think many people can argue with those three selections.
Yeah, no, I think for me, Jamie George was part of a very strong set piece for England throughout the tournament, and obviously that game against Ireland, fantastic. Furlong, his ball playing really carrying takes him up another level, and that one day against Genge, was not his best, but it's one game.
Yeah.
I would say loose head was our toughest call, the hardest because everyone was very good, particularly a special mention to Genge, who was exceptional throughout the tournament. I'm not sure about him in the backfield, but exceptional during the tournament. Porter was doing brilliantly for Ireland until he got injured. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen my man Fischetti in there. He had the most turnovers from a front rower. His kick chase alone against Wales was outstanding, and was a real star in that Italian side for me.
Certainly one for the future.
Yes. Second row, Shawnee, who have we gone for?
Second rows, we have gone for the very, very athletic pair of Cameron Wackey and Mario Itoje.
What impressed you about Cameron Wackey? Because you weren't sure if he was a back row, second row going into the tournament.
I thought he was very, very physical too. And so I thought he was more of a lighter type of kind of back rowy six type player. He's just been phenomenal. Very hard to contend with in the lineup, very hard to mark. So quick, so fast in the air. He's been unbelievable for France. And then partnering him, Maro Itoje, I suppose this fella is gone from strength to strength. In my opinion, the best lock in the world at the minute. His ball carrying ability, his physicality in D, his line out operating, his scrummaging, everything. He has so many attributes to his game. He is the ultimate all-rounder, in my opinion.
I've spoken about Mara a lot on this podcast, and he's exceptional. Cam Wacky, I think he took his game from the autumn through to Six Nations, has been exceptional. He's really led the line out for France, but also I just think his athleticism, he gives him so much. His speed across the ground to cover defensively. Also when he's carrying, he punches above his weight and does, off the back of offloads, his athleticism they talk about gets in behind so well. So I think those two have been real standouts for me. Brilliant. Back row though, real debate here. Who have you gone for?
So we've gone for Caelan Doris at 6, Josh van der Fleer at 7 and Gregory Aldred at 8. For me, this man has been one of the big cogs in Ireland's wheel the last while. Just his carrying ability in the tight, in the loose. He has had big moments as well. His defensive work has been brilliant. Getting his head over balls as well, had a few turnovers. I just think his consistency now as a back rower, Caelan Doris, has just gone to another level, and he's one of the most important people I think in that pack going forward. So he's been brilliant. Gregory Aldred at 8, an absolute machine for France. One of the top tacklers in the tournament, one of the top carriers in the tournament. Mr. Consistency, never has a bad game, very, very tough, unassuming, goes about his business really, really well, and has led that pack, that 8, 9, 10 access from the pack to the French backs really, really well. Just a phenomenal athlete now, and a very young guy too. And then at 7 was probably Tom Curry was probably the man before the tournament in that 7 jersey. This fella, Josh van der Fleer, has gone to another level. He's gone to another level in the last 16, 17 months, in my eyes anyway. His work rate is by far the best of any back rower, I think, in the tournament. His engine is incredible. His work rate is incredible. But the big thing for me, for someone who's not that big at the minute, is his carrying ability. He is carrying into people at 100 miles an hour, getting over the gain line, making a yard here and there. And then his work defensively has been phenomenal. Again, you talk about like a kick chase, for instance. He's always first. He's always, if there's a bounce of a ball, he's around it. And that's what you want from your 7. So I think his performances are very justified to have him here, and one of the best players in the tournament in my eyes.
Yeah, I think Josh van der Fleer really impressed me with his carrying. He's not the biggest, as you said, but he's so physical. He runs so hard. He's like a back row in rugby league.
Yeah.
Flies into contact with no regard for his body. And I think he's a huge part of this attacking game that Ireland have. His speed across the ground, how many breakdowns he wins for them is phenomenal. Doris was interested to see how he'd go after having such a good autumn international period, and he's gone up another level. People know about him now, it's no surprise, but he still does those tough carries into brick walls. His footwork, his power, and his work rate. And I think he's played pretty much every minute in the tournament. And I think, Aldrich, you spoke so well about him. The two things for me are, one, his breakdown skills, the turnovers he gets, decision-making at ruck. He's always slowing the ball down or winning turnovers or being a nuisance, bringing more men into it. He's a big part of the defensive game for France. And also, the fact that he's bilingual is a massive help. He's a big job talking to the referees, understanding. He's always there when the refs are talking to the props. He's the one translating for them. And that sounds like a silly thing, but it makes a big difference and helps so much. So, really good back row. I think a couple of people for me, Jalonche for France, whether 6, 7. Yeah. He is really underrated, just workmanlike, just goes about his business so well, hits so many rucks, carries well. Also, his kick chase, he's one of the few, he's up there first on kickoffs, and he's really good for them. And huge mention to Toby Faletau. Only came back halfway through the tournament. First came back in so long against England, was outstanding. Yeah. And again, at the weekend against Italy, outstanding. Against the French, unbelievable. Yeah. He is such a good player. And we just hope he can stay fit, because he's brilliant. On to the backs.
We have gone for, no surprise here, Antoine Dupont. And at 10, Johnny Sexton.
Is there anything you can say about Dupont now? He's so good.
We've spoke about him so much, but he's just a phenomenal player. Best 9 in the world.
For me, Johnny Sexton didn't play all the games, obviously, but the difference when he was there and when he wasn't, not that Carberry played badly, just the way the Irish team looked towards him, to demand for that clarity, to expectation of leadership. it was huge. And notable when he wasn't there, I think Marcus Smith did well for England, but he kicked well, but probably would be unhappy as well with himself. Bigger, fought hard. I think Garbisi, for me, special mention. I think he's over there. He did an exceptional job kicking really well and controlling, especially in that final game for Italy. And Shawnee, who have we picked to the centres?
We have picked French pairing of Dante and Ficou.
Yeah, I guess for me, Dante, perhaps less celebrated than Ficou and some of the other centres in the tournament. He just goes about his work and is so important for the French. He is a focal point from getting over the gain line first phase to then allow Aldrit and others to round the corner. And he's always putting his hand up in those tough carries just to go hard, again and again. So I've been really impressed with him. And defensively, I think he's gone up leaps and bounds from when we first saw him on the international stage. For me, possibly one of the players of the tournament, Ficou, his consistency. I know they talk about this defensive general and leadership, and I don't buy into that too much on the field. It's, you do your job. Defensively, he is exceptional. Really impressed with him particularly.
Yeah, their relationship, I think, has just gone from strength to strength. They know exactly how each other is playing at the minute, and this fella for me has been phenomenal. He is a centre point for this French side going forward, defensively and attack. And this man, I think, is going to bring it to another level too. I think there's more gears in him. I think you've seen some of his brilliance in his offloading game as well this year. But they're only going to get stronger, these boys.
Back three, Shawnee.
Back three. Villiers.
My man.
Penaud.
Damien.
And Hugo Keenan.
Talk us through, from your side, what's impressed you about these guys?
I think Hugo Keenan, I just think he's so consistent now. He's one of the best players in that Irish team. Doesn't make many mistakes. His work rate is absolutely phenomenal. His relationship and understanding of when it's on, when it's not on as well, to have a crack or play the kicking game and relieve pressure has been brilliant. Scored an unbelievable try last week off the back of Jamison Gibson Park's quick tap. But he seen what was on before it ever happened. But his aerial skills and his defensive skills have been nothing short of phenomenal. Big hits near the line, balls under pressure. He's done it all, the Six Nations, and that's why he's in there. Penaud, one of my favourite players, just how dangerous he is. He's an ultimate finisher, works off the ball incredibly well, has a great relationship in that French side with 9-10, with Dupont coming around the breakdown and stuff. So he's just been unbelievable too. Teams are really, really watching this guy because he can finish in 2 seconds, like any of the French really. But for me, he's been one of the top performers in the championship. And then your kind of favourite player, Villiers. What's
there not to love about him?
Yeah,
he's 5'5". He's unbelievable. He gives everything to the cause. He fights so hard. His breakdown work is probably the best back in the tournament. One of the best forwards around turnovers he gets. He gets up in the air. Even if he loses the high ball, he's the first to win the turnover.
Yeah.
And then in attack, he scored a hat-trick in the first game. His ability to hit lines and read offloads is so good. I guess for me, Hugh Keenan, he really gives confidence to the back line. And then in attack, the way he's gone from here to here in the last 6 months, I think that he can keep going up and up, as you said. So he was very impressive. Our little Italian, Capuzzo, he was as close as anyone to getting in the team just for his antics alone in the last game. And the 2 tries he scored against Scotland. This guy has huge potential and can't wait to see him in the future playing at Toulouse. But Hugh Keenan for me. That, Shawnee, is our 15.
That's a hell of a team, I think.
Well, I think it speaks volumes of how well the French have done. I think they've got 8 players in there, the Irish 5 and 2 English guys who both happen to play at Saracens. Not that there's a bias. I guess, Shawnee, it comes on to who would captain the side?
I'd probably let Dupont be captain, to be fair. Take a bit of pressure off Johnny. If it was,
I'd say, would Johnny be all right with that?
Yeah, no, he 100% would, especially with Dupont playing the way he does. So the two of them would have a good relationship, I reckon.
I'd have Villiers because I just love him. He's just a man. He leads from the front.
Winger or captain?
Well, he leads from the front, doesn't he? He's in every breakdown. No, Dupont for me. Okay, so moving on. Who was your player of the tournament?
My player of the tournament, for me, I would have to say is this man, Josh van der Fleer.
Interesting.
The only reason I wouldn't give it to Dupont is because he's won everything else in the last 12 months. I just think this man has brought his game to a different level compared to where he was. He has improved so much in the last year and a half and added bits to his game. Again, like, Josh isn't the biggest fella in the world, but the way he throws his body around, the numbers he's hitting in games in terms of defensively, attack, defenders beating everything across the board, has just gone to another level. And for me, someone who's so combative like him, to be still going at 80 plus minutes is a phenomenal feat. So for me, I think he's actually the player of the tournament.
I agree. It's big boots to fill when you left, and finally someone's done it. So impressive. For me, this man, Big Aldrich, he has been exceptional for the French. A real leader, as I said before. I think he's been exceptional. The two guys I would say pushed him close were Ficou, for me, has been outstanding in this tournament. And the other one I would have been close was Jalange. I think he's done a lot for the French. Really impressed by his work rate. He gets picked every week, goes about his business really well, and he just puts electrical tape on his ears and off he goes, which is, I like. Well, this is our Six Nations team of the tournament. This has been a special episode of House of Rugby.
Let us know what you think of our team in the comments below.